All right, everyone, 6 o'clock, I'll call to order the Canandaigua Town Board meeting for March 15th, 2021. Welcome, everyone. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Town Councilman Gary Davis.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gary. At this time, I'll ask our Town Clerk, Jean Chrisman, to call the roll.
Yes, Councilman Gary Davis,
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Dvorak,
Present.
Councilman Terry Fennelly,
Present.
Supervisor Kathy Menakotz,
President.
Councilman Jared Simpson.
Present.
Thank you, Jean. And can you also please confirm that the meeting was properly advertised?
Yes, it was.
All right, and I would direct everyone's attention to written communications, which are attachment 1 to the agenda online. If you access the agenda online, you will see those written communications. Before we proceed, I'd just like to recognize birthdays that we have during the month. March 18th, these are for town employees. March 18th, Rebecca Doyle. March 19th, Bob Kinney. March 19th, Dylan LaPrazie. March 22nd, Kristen Bartolotta. March 30th, Lisa Record. April 3rd, Carl Soller. April 5th, Tyler White. April 7th, Phyllis Goodwin. April 7th, Corey Westbrook and Todd Wood. Happy birthday to everyone, and I hope it's a great birthday for all of you. Before we proceed to our privilege of the floor, I think, Doug, if you would like to, we have some news that we'd like to share with our audience.
Sure. Thank you, Supervisor. So just letting everyone know, and I know a number of you are on the call here this evening have been following and interested in the proposed purchase of 4351 Tishner Point Drive for the purposes of town park and public access to Canandaigua Lake. I was notified this morning by a representative of the seller that the seller has accepted an offer on the property not affiliated with the town, and they felt like it was a strong offer and that it was a very clean proposal, purchase agreement that they were able to accept and move forward. They feel like they'll be able to move forward fairly quickly and close on the property, and that has nothing at all to do with the town of Canandaigua. So at this point, it certainly seems like that parcel is no longer available to the town of Canandaigua for the original proposed use, and that it would be moving forward in a private transaction between the sellers and a buyer. And I have no additional information, as that would be a private transaction. So I'll turn it back over to you, Supervisor.
All right, thank you. At this time, we have our first privilege of the floor. I just remind everyone you have 3 minutes. This is meant for matters of public concern, and no profanities or other incivilities. And I will get to everyone in due course. I will keep time. When you're getting close to 3 minutes, I will let you know. And I see Karen Parkhurst, excuse me. Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. I wrote this out, so I don't usually read things, but I did today. So I'm Karen Parkhurst. I live on Laurel Lane. I participate in several town committees, among them Parks and Recreation, the Citizens Implementation Committee, and I'm also on the Master Plan Update team and a couple of others. In these roles, I've heard repeatedly from town residents, more access to the lake, more lakefront access, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These statements are included in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and again, in the newly updated Town Comprehensive Plan that has not yet been adopted, but I know those are in there because I just finished proofreading that plan. So we in the town of Canandaigua, we're very fortunate to have a town manager who has taken this request to heart. He's pursued parkland on the lake. In the past 6 months, he found opportunities. He knows they're expensive. However, he researched ways to make the expense more palatable to town residents. I personally want to thank Doug for putting his management skills to work in this effort because, in my opinion, the town board, including our town supervisor, has dragged their feet in bringing these opportunities to fruition, as evidenced by the fact that the Tishner Point property is no longer a viable option. The town board has been talking about access to the lake since the end of last year. There have been a couple of public hearings. Action was requested by some of the attendees. Still, there was no date for a referendum, just suggestions that we wait and wait and wait. Well, now the Tishner Point property is no longer an option. And frankly, I'm ashamed of my lakefront neighbors for the stress and pressure they put on both the town and the Kellogg's. What makes them think that they should be the sole owners of lakefront property? What makes them think they're the only ones that should enjoy our lake? That's another issue. Anyway, part of this problem is attributable to the slow motion movement by the town manager and the town board to move this project forward. It was evident that the property could not remain in limbo for many months. There were certainly other buyers out there, as we just found out, but it appears that our town board did not see it that way. One board member in particular did ask that we set a date for a referendum, and that board member was pretty much ignored. So I come to you now, particularly to thank Doug Finch, and only Doug Finch, for his efforts on the behalf of the town residents looking for more lake access. The thing I know about Doug is he heard the people, saw an opportunity, tried to work on achieving one of the long-standing goals of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and the Town Comprehensive Plan. So I say kudos to you, Doug. We're fortunate to have you on our side.
Thank you, Karen.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Anyone else?
I see Ryan's hand is up.
I'm sorry, I can't see everyone. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Stachok at 6285 Ketchum Road in Canandaigua, New York. Just calling you from Wegmans parking lot. I'd like to echo Karen's comments. They really struck my heart. And thank you, Karen, for your good comments. I think that this speaks to the importance of our open space plan that was adopted in 2017. Just echoing the comments of the Parks and Rec plan, our community really values open spaces, lake access. And I really think it's time to hit the drawing board and reach out to the voters and ask if we really want to get serious about conservation and open spaces in our community. We have to be proactive and maybe pass a referendum at the town level that really solidifies our commitment and really strongly pushes town board and town board members to act and be proactive. And so that's my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Joel Hockman.
Yeah, I'm a property owner on the lake and I've listened to numerous meetings and I just want to make a couple of comments. I'm a real estate developer and I've dealt with municipalities, and part of the deal with dealing with municipalities is that it takes a considerable amount of time to work a deal. You guys know that, the seller should know that. And unfortunately, maybe some of the people don't know that. And they got a fair price on the appraisal, which, as I already made the comment, is the appraisal was based on the highest market value for the use intended. And the use intended is a single family lot, not a public park, which wasn't the best use of that land, in my estimation. So the $5 million price was very good in terms of the seller's point of view. Additionally, I also feel that if people want to use the lake and have access to the lake, there are many places they can go. And I hope the board heard that some of the places on the lake need to be fixed up. And yes, it's been neglected for numerous years. And yes, in the last 2 or 3 years, you've put money in. But unfortunately, because of that neglect, I feel there is more money that is necessary, and that will give people more access and better access to the lake, including if you want to increase Kershaw Park, increase the access there. And on Ananda, which has fallen in disrepair, and you are starting to, albeit at a little late, start to fix it up to what it should and could be. So it's unfortunate, but I also feel that that property was the wrong property for the intended use that you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave Sauter.
Hi, thank you for unmuting me. Dave Sutter, 5540 Bristol Road. I really feel the town, like Karen, has let the residents down in terms of lake access. It would appear to me that the bullies have won. The town board had the ability to move forward, but chose not to. All the plans, all the comprehensive plans, the open space plans, all the residents continue to talk about lake access as a priority, but it seems as though the town board has ignored that. It's really unfortunate. It's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I don't see anyone else on that. If we could now move to priority business. We have a town supervisor appointment. I'd like to welcome Mr. Lee Ferguson as town historian. I'm appointing him for a term expiring on December 31st. Leaf, I don't know if you are here, but welcome to the town of Canandaigua. I look forward to having you work as our town historian, so thank you. Next, we move to presentations. We have the annual fire department reports to town board, Cheshire Fire Department, City of Canandaigua, and East Bloomfield Fire District.
Kathy, if we could start with the City of Canandaigua, and I'll unmute the city manager and the city fire chief because I see them both right here, easy. So.
Sure.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. So I see you guys have a pretty busy agenda, so I'll cut right to it. So feel free to ask any questions along the way. I believe you got my 30-something page report, but I'll just kind of go right through just some of the high-level stuff. Obviously, last year was a very unique year with the COVID, to say the least. We responded in total between the city, the town, as well as our mutual aid partners to 1,713 calls for service. In our town district only, we responded to 339 calls. So our annual call volume was up 3% from last year. Typically, it's up a little bit higher than that, but with COVID, it's that we really haven't crunched the numbers yet nationally, but it's not uncommon for that to be lower because everybody's staying home, people aren't driving, not in working in businesses and such. Our annual fires were up a little bit from the previous year. Again, not unexpected. It was mostly cooking fires confined to the stove area, which was great. It just shows that maybe next year or this year we have to work on our home cooking fire safety campaign to educate residents and folks on how to safely cook in their kitchen. In the town district, we had an increase in motor vehicle accidents. Not by much, but we received about 18 calls for service for serious motor vehicle accidents. Again, you saw some of the notable calls that we had in the annual report. The remaining calls for service pretty much remained constant with the previous years, so no key changes there. As far as our agreement with the town and the city, we increased our manpower with one firefighter last year, firefighter Dan Fuller, transferred from the city of Salamanca. He's been a welcome addition. He's very skilled in high angle rope rescue as well as technical rescue, which is very needed in our department. And I'm happy to report that today, one of our newest members started his first day on the job today, Ryan Foster. He came from the Ontario County Sheriff's Department as a 911 dispatcher, as well as a Farmington volunteer firefighter. So he started today, very excited. He's got a week with us, and then we sent him to the New York State Academy, which we actually held locally in Monroe County for his training. So we're fortunate enough to keep him closer to home so we can kind of keep an eye on him. We've been staying busy. Obviously, I've been risky to talk about the pandemic, but our department was able to, without a beat, skip a beat, we did not have any interruption of service whatsoever. Luckily to date, nobody has come down with the virus or brought the virus into the fire department. Our services remained uninterrupted. So we planned extensively to keep that from happening. So we did an excellent job, and I can't thank our firefighters enough for doing a wonderful job in basically keeping the services uninterrupted during the pandemic. Luckily, we're on the downward decline, so we're not seeing as many calls for service in that regard. But I just wanted to publicly say that our firefighters did a fantastic job of keeping the pandemic out of here.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. All the work that you've been doing, so thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys have any questions for me? We're moving into 2021 here. Obviously, we're trying to pick up what we planned for last year that we kind of was delayed. We're doing capital improvement projects here with the Fire Station 1. We're repairing our bay floor that's been needed for over a decade. We're replacing our 104-foot ladder truck. We should see delivery by this time next year. So that is in production as we speak, as well as a new chief's vehicle. So we continue to add stuff to our fleet and continue to find the best technology we can better serve the public. So we're trying to pick up where we left off here during this time last year. Any questions from me whatsoever?
Kathy, if I just could, either Chief or John, either one, but Chief, first of all, we understand the city fire department had a save just even this morning with apartment project in the town of Canandaigua along County Road 10 with our Creekview apartments. So thank you so much, and please thank all of our city firefighters for their hard work in keeping our residents safe. But could you also touch on where we're at with staffing? I know part of our agreement between the city and the town involves our contract for services includes staffing as well as the requirements that were identified with our joint fire study. Could you maybe one of the two of you just kind of touch on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So for staffing wise, we're at 13, including maybe 14. We are actually in the process of trying to hire one more. I'm trying to get that in before April 1st. We have 2 candidates selected to move forward in the process. We're kind of held by civil service when they could do the physical agility test. And we're also looking at a possible transfer from a neighboring city. So it's all moving relatively quickly. So we're trying to get that completed here before April 1st and onboarded. Obviously, if we get the transfer firefighter, that they're already trained, they're already EMT, and they could basically just do our in-house training and jump on a truck. If we hire the 2 off the list, it'll be a bit longer before they're fully trained. It'll be 11 weeks in the academy as well as 16 weeks FTO under our roof. But again, we're moving forward, and hopefully by April we should have 14 career firefighters, 15 including me, and that'll leave our staffing at least 3 on duty every day, 24/7. And sometimes 4 on duty 24/7. So it looks right now with our staffing matrix, it looks like with the staffing of 14, we can run 4 on duty about 0.25% of the time. But obviously off duty, that helps when they come into fires and whatnot. As far as volunteer wise, we are down to 7 volunteers, 3 interior. But again, most of our volunteers are trained to the exterior level, our basic exterior fire ground operations, which is one of the most important jobs, setting up lighting, setting up ladders, changing air cylinders, responding to motor vehicle accidents and that nature. But we're continuing trying to find new volunteers as well as try to make our department more marketable for the career side.
And I believe that is our agreement for this year, right? Is 14 by April 1st. I believe.
14 by April 1st, correct. Yep, and we're just about there. And as far as the 26 recommendations for the study we did in 18, we implemented about 95% of what we cannot implement. Basically, there's a few bullets in there that are out of our hands, such as what the 911 center is able to do as far as time stamping and their data collection, as well as the regional fire, regionalization of the fire districts. Again, that's out of our hands, and we're trying to, push that forward and start working with more districts. This year, I have redone our mutual aid box alarm assignments. So we're brought in more departments to help us should we get to a second alarm or a third alarm or fourth alarm fire. We've been working with Chester Fire Department recently. A lot of their fires that they had, our firefighters responded directly to scene within minutes of the call. And when the pandemic is pretty much non-existent, we'll be doing some joint training between our area fire departments to one, again, last year we won't be able to do anything, locally. So we're trying to, get that going hopefully by maybe summer to end of this year. John, would you like to add anything from City Hall standpoint?
I have nothing to add. You did a great job, Chief.
Yes, thank you very much, Chief. Doug, do you have anything else?
I don't believe for the city. I don't know. Cheshire Fire Chief Chris Brown was going to try to join us, but he was also traveling and he wasn't sure if he was going to make it. We've got about 70 plus or minus people on the call. Let me just pause a second for him to raise his hand, but or somebody representing the Cheshire Fire Department, but I don't. They just may not have been able to make it to join us because I know that they were traveling. He was traveling, told me today.
Okay, his report was included. And East Bloomfield, do we have anybody from East Bloomfield?
And I do not see the East Bloomfield Fire District Chief able to join us. And let me just mention just to the town board too, and if you have any questions, especially why we have the chief and city manager here. This year also marks the termination of our agreement, the final year of our agreement with East Bloomfield Fire District. And then that area will be covered between the city of Canandaigua Fire Department and the Cheshire Volunteer Fire Department going forward in 2022. So thank you both Cheshire Fire Department as well as the city of Canandaigua Fire Department for all of your great service to our residents and your fast response and making sure that everyone is safe.
And I would like to also echo that. I know you've been very busy lately with a lot of calls, especially in the last year. So on behalf of everyone in the town board, I'd also like to thank you. And thank you for coming today and thank you for your report.
Thank you. Thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks.
All right, next we have continued public hearings. This one, if I could have a motion to, technically it's still continued, but just for the formality, if someone could reopen that hearing by motion.
So move.
Second.
Okay, would anyone like to be heard on this public hearing? Okay, I know that Doug has requested that we continue this public hearing due to things which have to be taken care of in the meantime. So I'm gonna have a motion to continue this hearing.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Are we continuing it to June? Is that what we're trying to do?
That's what it says on the agenda. I think that's what Doug said.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify before we voted.
Yep, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing on the, I'd like to open the public hearing, a motion to open the public hearing on the draft Middle Cheshire Road and Hospital Services Corridor Active Transportation Plan and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone like to be heard on this? I see Adeline. Ms. Rudolph?
Yes, hi. I just had a few comments on the Middle Cheshire Road plan. My name is Adeline Rudolph. I live at 5228 White Cliff Drive. First and foremost, I'm very excited by most of the plan, and I hope that we can start to implement some of the concepts in the plan. Of course, ensuring that we're doing them slowly without having to borrow a lot of funds to try and do that. But I wanted to mention a couple questions I had. I've noticed that I made a comment earlier in the public hearing regarding it, and I noticed that there's intended to be a sidewalk or walkway at one part of Middle Cheshire Road that's continuing on the west side of Middle Cheshire Road from about Foster Road to the city line. And then it switches to the east side from Foster Road to Wells Curtis Road. I understand that's done for agricultural reasons potentially, but I would really like the town to explore keeping the sidewalk on one side of the street, probably the west side, so that if there's a walking path or bicycle riders, that they aren't crossing the road at an unusual location, and they can continue on one thorough full path that goes all the way to the town. I also think one of the most important components is getting walk, don't walk signs and crosswalks on the 5 and 20 intersection with Middle Cheshire Road. I think if we can get that light to time appropriately, that can become a much safer place for residents to cross and get to the city of Canandaigua, the hospital, and all of the features that we currently have within the city. So that component, I think, is one of the most important components of the plan. I also really like that we'd be making more connectivity to the Switchback Trail, and that it's recommended some surface improvements for walking and biking along the Switchback Trail. I know if I lived in Cheshire Glen, for example, I would love to have a nice, safe way to get down and get some ice cream or go to Casa Italiana safely on a trail, which would be really nice. And I also, finally, I just wanted to mention, if we can work to protect the green space near the hospital. I know a lot of people walk there, and I think it would allow a reduction in stress for the workers at the hospital to have green space around the hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen?
Yes, I attended the meeting you had about the Middle Cheshire Road plan. And I just want to say that I was really impressed with the work that has been done. It's it's a wonderful plan. I believe it's doable. It's going to take a while to do it. And I know it's going to take some grant activity also to achieve some of the goals in it. But it seems to me that in this plan, you really, really touched on the needs of the people that live in this Middle Cheshire Road corridor. And I commend anyone who was involved in putting that plan together, because they did a great job. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Parkhurst. I see, I believe Mr. or Ms. Spall have hands up.
Me, Suzanne Spall. I was in on a meeting when they were discussing that corridor there. They have bike paths that go from Middle Cheshire, from Wells Curtis Road all the way to the hospital. Being a biker, not an avid biker, but being a biker, you're supposed to bike with traffic, walk against traffic. From Foster Road to the hospital, it's only on the east side of the road. So I was just wondering, when you're biking from the hospital going south, are you supposed to be going against the traffic when you're biking? It's supposed to be, you would be going against the rules of the road for biking. And when you're walking against traffic, and you can only bike on or walk on one side of the road.
Okay. Thank you for your concerns. Anyone else like to be heard?
if the town board members have any questions, we do have Kimberly from Bergman Associates with us. I just wanted to point that out. So.
No, thank you, Kimberly. Donna and Alan Taylor.
Yes, I would just like to ask you if this goes ahead and you put in more sidewalks. We already have an existing asphalt sidewalk in front of our house at 3575 Middle Cheshire Road. But if you expand that any, then you're going to be taking out trees that have probably been here for 30 years or more. I wanted to find out what is the plan for that. I looked through the Middle Cheshire transportation plan, and I didn't see anything about that.
I don't know if, so public hearing generally is for comments, and as things progress, if we were to go along those answers, those questions would be answered. So I just want to let you know that situation, though, that's the way the plan would be implemented would be step by step, and the public would be informed all along the way. So thank you. Anyone else? I don't see anyone else. Can I have a motion to close the public?
Close.
Anyone want a second?
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion? I would also like to thank everyone who was involved with this. I know that there are a lot of obstacles along the way, and we continue to try to work to make it safer for everyone and to make that corridor more available to walkers and bikers and cars. So thank you to everyone who had a part in that. All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have reports of town officials and department heads. Jim Fletcher, Highway, Water.
Good evening. I submitted my report to the board. Any questions on it?
I don't think so. All right, thank you. Pam Post, I don't know if you're on.
She's actually on vacation this week. I don't see her. So.
All right, I don't expect anything from our town historian. I don't see. Jean, do you have a report?
I do. Good evening. My report was attached to the agenda, and please let me know if you have any questions. As I mentioned, we are in the process of launching, hopefully by April 1st, a new online park reservation program. In the last 10 days, I've been working diligently with Astra and an existing credit card company that we use, Municipay, to get the online credit card system up and running. I have a contract in my hands. Unfortunately, I got it too late to get it on the agenda. So in talking with Town Manager Finch, we discussed that I would bring it to the town board and just make sure it's okay if we continue to move forward with the contract so we can get it on board and online, and then have the appropriate resolutions on the April agenda. Along with that, we'll also have updates to the fee schedule to include the processing fee and the cart fee for the reservations, and also by that time, maybe the facility alcohol permit for the parks, and kind of bring that to you as a package. So I just want to make sure you're okay with us moving forward.
What do you need from us today, I suppose?
Nothing really, just make sure you're okay with us moving forward. Just some guidelines, maybe some direction. I mean, if you're okay with it, we'll continue to move forward.
Sounds
good to me.
Great.
All right, I don't see any opposition, so I'd say keep going. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Doug, I don't know if you have anything, or if you want to combine planner, town manager, or.
No, I have nothing. I'm happy to answer any questions. I attached my report. So.
All right, thank you. Report from supervisor, deputy supervisor, the monthly financial reports have been prepared. If anyone has any questions on that. All right, now we have reports of committees, boards, and commissions. Finance,
Nothing further.
planning, Terry Finelli.
Yeah, our last Public Works Committee meeting, we discussed the need to revisit our sewer master plan with respect to County Road 28 potential sewer district formation. So Greg Hoteling had come up with a recommendation to include some other properties that would make the overall plan more reasonable in terms of cost to the individual homeowners in that area. But we weren't able to get that all together in time enough to put it on the agenda for this meeting. So we'll have that ready for the meeting in April 19th and get that information to you ahead of time. And Greg can make a presentation and then decide whether we want to revisit opening up the sewer master plan to modify it to include some other properties. So that's about it, really. So.
All right, thank you, Terry. Environmental, Councilman Simpson.
I just want to point out a couple things, and I don't know if anybody got down to page 343 of the agenda or not as they were going over it. But as you look at it, just some highlights from the report that Caitlin put together. Caitlin works in the highway department, and she does a great job with tracking our waste diversion. For the last calendar year, we were able to divert 15.8 tons of textiles, 204 tons of metal, 1.4 tons of plastic bags, and 16 tons of e-waste. In addition, almost 8 tons of food and about 380 tons of tree branches, brush, stumps, and outdoor debris. All those things are diverted from the landfill and help to do our part to preserve that as long as we can and conserve what we have. So I just wanted to thank Caitlin for putting all that information together.
Jared, did you guys have a chance to look at how that compared to the year before?
We have not broken that down yet. I know this year, I know I didn't include the regular garbage, the dumping schedule, because that was so off from prior years because of the months of COVID. We were pretty high on some of those. We did equal out a little bit, but no, we can take a look at that and compare to how we were last year and what kind of improvement, because I would assume as people are more aware of it, I would assume those numbers are looking better than they were last year.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Ordinance Committee, Councilman Davis.
Yes, in the packet, the ordinance committee met on March 11th, and the report is in the packet. And we're also requesting some different changes that we'd like to make it for public hearings to be held in April. They're on the agenda tonight, the resolutions. That's it.
All right, thank you. Planning Board. I don't know if Mr. Euler is here, wants to be heard. Mr. Euler, I see you there. Would you like to say something about Planning Board? Yeah, Planning Board.
Good evening. I have nothing else to add above and beyond what our minutes reflect. So thank you for calling on me, though.
Thank you for coming. Zoning Board of Appeals, Terrence Robinson. I don't know if I saw him on here. I don't see him, but feel free to interrupt me if you'd like to be heard. Environmental Conservation Board. I don't know if anybody here wants to be heard from Environmental Conservation. Okay, Citizens Implementation Committee. Chairwoman Reynolds.
Nothing further to report at this time, Kathy.
Parks and Rec, Chairman McNeil. Special events, I didn't see Oksana or anyone else. Linda, I don't think anything's going on.
We're working on getting our team back together now that we seem to be starting to have a little bit loosening of the COVID restrictions and more people being vaccinated. So we're looking ahead to a little bit down the road for the things like, now that Ononda is owned by the town, celebrating that ownership and a couple of the other things that we've been talking about, as well as Halloween.
Great. Let's hope we can have a real Halloween celebration this year. Agriculture Committee, Chairman DeCarlo. Okay, I'll move along, and if I'm missing anybody, please feel free to jump back in. Chairman Euler, I don't know if you have anything to say on the Drainage Committee?
No, we continue on our COVID hiatus. Fortunately, we haven't had many storms that we've had to react to. So we continue to monitor our issue spreadsheet and check it out if and when it does rain. So we are in limbo right now, but we will meet once again once we're allowed to meet again.
Okay, thank you. This time we have our next privilege of the floor. If anyone would like to be heard, same rules apply. Okay, I don't see anyone. If I'm missing anyone, please let me know. Okay, next we move on to resolutions and motions. We have no continued resolutions. New resolutions. Resolution number 2021-034, acceptance of the monthly financial reports.
Hello.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-035, special town election to consider the proposition of whether the town should purchase land on Canandaigua Lake for use as a public park and bond the amount needed to complete such a proposed purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
My thought is, given the situation with the Titchener Point property, it seems important for us to find out what the town really thinks about this. So I feel like it would be a good idea for us to continue on to understand the townspeople as well and go forward with this.
I think it's important to find out as well. I know from the comments today that it was felt that the town dragged its feet. I think there was a lot going on in terms of knowledge and procedures and information gathering that was going on during this time, which I won't go into great detail at this point, but if any of those people who had concerns would like to reach out to me, I'd be happy to explain to you that situation. I agree that we need to keep finding out what the people want, especially when there's a large amount of money involved. And I don't mean whether we should have a park, I mean how much we should spend is part of it. So I think there's a lot of questions, and I would like to be able to move forward quickly in the future. So I do agree that this is something. I do have a question though. When would we like to get this done? In other words, how much would it cost to do a special election versus do it for the general election? I don't know if we have an answer to that question. And I don't know what other people's thoughts are, since there isn't a particular piece of property right now. And again, this is news to us as of today that property sold. So I still agree we need to do it. The question is, what's everyone's thoughts on now versus at the general election?
Well, I agree we need to do it. I agree also with that question about, incurring the cost at this time. Whereas if we have that as a question during the general election this fall, it may not be that expensive for us to put that on a ballot. So as you say, Kathy, with nothing on the immediate horizon, well, it is good to know what the general feeling of the residents of the town is. Perhaps we could wait until November.
Well, I think there's pluses and minuses for waiting, because one of the pluses is we don't incur any additional costs. The minus is we've had two different things come up during this year that would have been the similar kind of purchase, expensive and a park. And I wonder if maybe there'd be a third and then we wouldn't be ready. That's my concern.
Do we know the cost of, as we were preparing for this, did the cost get run for what the special election would be?
We had an upper end, didn't we, Doug? Do you know, Doug?
Looks like he's scrolling.
I just unmuted Chris Nadler there too, because Chris and I had a conversation, and I believe that, depending on there's a lot of different factors, but you could be talking anywhere as much as $30,000 to do a special election like this.
Okay. Because building off that, I have a couple other thoughts pertaining to this. The 5-year window, are we better off with a shorter window? If we tied it into the general election and had it, have a 2-year window, a 2-year period, and have it on the ballot in November every 2 years. I don't know if that would add much of an expense. I'd be interested to see, tying it in with a regular election, to have another choice on that, how much more that would cost. I think it's pretty limited. I know that we've talked a lot about the numbers in the survey and debating those, but on that same survey where 81% said they either somewhat or greatly want more lake access, 73% of the respondents, I should say, said that they want more parkland access. So are we limited? Do we need to broaden that to purchase property for parkland or conservation or lake access? Are we limiting ourselves with this resolution and just honing in on one specific thing, where if that's the number we're pulling from, 73% isn't that much off of 81%?
I suppose we could split the question, right? People might be willing to spend a lot more money for lakefront than they would for other properties. So maybe it could be a split question.
I would think we'd get a lot better turnout too, and get a better idea of the community's wants if we did it on the general election also.
Yeah. True.
Because I think that's one of the concerns that a lot of people have had, is the numbers. I mean, we're looking at, for the lake access, it was 137 plus 181 total respondents make up that 81%. For the parkland, it's 172 plus 112 total respondents make up that 73%. So with the general election, it would give us a greater number, and we would have several thousand people voting to give us that input and that definite answer.
Yep.
All right. And my other thought, which if something else were to come up in the meantime, we still could, the information that we've learned in terms of the procedure involved with buying a piece of property, and we're talking about millions of dollars on lakefront, we could move a lot quicker. So even if something came up in the meantime, that doesn't mean we couldn't also proceed more quickly if necessary. So I'm in favor of, I'm sorry, did somebody have something?
I was thinking one more thing is that if this property does fall through in the fall and becomes reavailable, then we would not be in a position to be able to do this.
Well,
I'm sorry.
If it fell through in the fall and they didn't have it fell through, you're saying, and it was still available in the fall?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, even then, that might be a chance to, I mean, I don't really want, if it falls through, I don't want to lock ourselves in at the 5.4 price point. We might be able to renegotiate as well and then restart the whole process. But then they would know that, hey, there is a referendum on the ballot the first week of November. So that's the date that we'll have an answer. And it takes out the uncertainty if it were to cycle back through onto the market again.
I mean, the benefit I see to doing it sooner would be, although the RSM, the property referred to as RSM, is a different situation in terms of, taxes that might be affected, which would not be affected. We would know that, but I think that's kind of a different situation. That would be, in my opinion, the only reason, not the only reason, but a reason to get an answer sooner rather than later. But I think that we were considering more of the Tishner Point type of a situation where the purchase price would affect taxes and other things. So would anyone like to make a motion to amend this, or do you want to keep it as it is?
Well, with those suggestions that we put down there and the thoughts that people had, can we lay it over and put it? I mean, if we
Yeah.
lay it over, we'd have to vote it next, we'd have to have a definite next month and definite set that timetable for November. But to clean it up with a few of those changes, or do we want to amend it right now, like you had said?
I would rather see us take some time and try to amend this thing to reflect
Do it the right
exactly
way.
what's been talked about tonight and bring it back next month. I mean, obviously, this thing was directed at the Titchener Point property. We all know that. I would rather wait until the fall because as Gary was saying, you're going to have much better turnout and get a much better gauge of what people really feel. The numbers you were talking about, Jared, or the percentages are high, but the number of respondents was really a very small fraction of the population of the town. So I'd lay it over. Well, I don't know, lay it over or rewrite it, really.
Chris Matthews has his hand up.
If I may, if you're gonna put it on the November election, the resolution should be in at the either July or August board meeting, depending on dates. The New York Town Law, Article 6, is pretty specific that once you pass this resolution, you have a 15-day window starting in 60 days. You know, you could pass a resolution, we could one saying, you know, the town board agrees to put a resolution on the August agenda to put election on the general election. But you can't actually pass it for the election until July or August.
I thought you said that was just for a special,
Right.
a special election, not tied to the general. Regardless, it's the same.
You know, I'll have to look at that specifically, but I believe that the method by which to get it on the general election ballot is through a special election technically, or the special election code in state law.
Okay.
I'll get you more information on that.
All right, I misunderstood too. That's what I thought you said as well, Chris, but either way, if someone wants to make a motion to lay it over, then we don't need to vote on it. We can just put it over, clean it up. Jared, are you making a motion to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to lay it over.
Okay.
I think if one board member is making that motion, we don't need to vote, but we can vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I would just like us to keep moving on it, so I'm gonna oppose.
Did you have a specific, if there's a specific thing we can all agree on, we can vote on it. I think that the problem is forming the question.
No, I think you guys have a different point of view. I would just like to keep it going so that we could answer the question if something came up between now and then and not have to wait until November. And that's my point. And it's okay to not agree. I don't feel bad about the fact that my opinion is different.
All right.
Kathy, I just want to make sure that there is a motion to just lay over the resolution, not to a specific date, correct?
If you lay it over, it has to go to the next meeting.
By the pursuant to the board's procedures, I think laying over automatically puts it on the next
Right.
Board meeting, at which point the board will have to vote on it. Obviously, you can vote no and we can vote yes on a different resolution, but the laying over section says you have to vote the next time.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Kathy, if I just could, just for clarification, I believe by laying it over means this exact same resolution will appear on your agenda next month. Then you would have the option, obviously, if somebody wants to draft a new resolution in the meantime to present that. But this actual resolution, because it was laid over, would appear on your agenda next month.
Right.
So we could vote on that and also the new resolution that's the modified resolution as well.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
All right. Moving along. Resolution number 2021, oh, hold on. Just have a moment. Resolution number 2021-036 through 2021-047. If there's no objections, I'd like this to be considered as a block.
Look through them quickly.
I'm sorry.
I want to look through them quickly. I didn't know that they're going to be blocked.
All right.
Okay, by me.
Okay, I was going to say, if you're not comfortable, we can go through.
Oh,
one by
no,
one.
no, I just didn't realize. we were gonna
Okay.
do that, so.
Can I have a motion to approve those as a block?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-048, acknowledging the town of Canandaigua Middle Cheshire Road and Hospital Services Corridor Active Transportation Plan and seeker determination of non-significance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-049, setting a public hearing on density allowances in a proposed conservation subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, if there's no opposition, I would like resolutions number 2021, and sorry to throw this on you, Terry, but 0-050 to 2021-057. If there's no objections, I would ask those to be considered as a block.
Good to me.
I have none.
All right, all those in favor of approving those as a block signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry. Any
Didn't have a
discussion?
motion, did we?
We didn't have I'm sorry.
Did we have a motion on that, the vote?
No, we did not. Can I have a motion we did a motion to approve as a block. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, now, any discussion on those resolutions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-058, authorization to surplus and sell excess roofing materials.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-059, acknowledgement of mixed-use rezoning request and referral to planning board for advisory report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Kathy.
I'm sorry.
If could the first paragraph and the third paragraph, instead of saying New York State Route 21, it should say New York State Route 364. That's the only.
Oh, right, sorry.
Oh. Right.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next, we have resolution number 2021-060, setting a public hearing on a text code amendment to Town Code Chapter 220-77 that would modify existing language related to energy efficiency and light pollution, and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-061, setting a public hearing on a text code amendment to Town Code Chapter 152 and seeker intent to declare lead. Did I just do that one? To declare lead agency.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is
All
this
in
is this the mobile home?
This is the parks.
This is Parks.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I wasn't sure the title. I lost track of where we were.
I did too. These all sound alike, so it gets difficult. Sometimes I check it off before I get to it. Okay. Are you all set, Linda?
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-062, setting a public hearing on proposed local law that would change the language for the Center Point PUD and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-063, setting a public hearing on a text code amendment to Town Code Chapter 220-19 that would update code language to comply with New York State HUD regulations and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this is the one that talks about aesthetics, is it?
Yes.
For the
Carrie?
manufactured- for the manufactured home, yes.
Right, there's that one sentence there that says this is done for aesthetic reasons. Is that correct? It isn't done for safety or anything like that. It's just done to make it look a certain way?
Well, the way Chris Jensen indicated when he talked to the state on it, it was for that reasons, but also is for safety too.
Because we put in our law that it's for aesthetics.
Well, they didn't want to have plastic and stuff like that, for the skirting and things on these homes, since they're actually considered a permanent home, and either use blocks or, something else meant for the base on the homes.
I guess I just struggled with us saying we're doing something because it looks good instead of for safety or for structurability. I don't know, there's all sorts of reasons that I could imagine. And so that one sentence in this one really seemed odd to me. And I just wondered if we had looked at that.
Well, I think Chris worked, I know he did, because I got a letter here somewhere among this that, he worked with the State Department when he was discussing it with them, and also with HUD. So I can't definitively answer it right now, but I can look it up and make sure I get back to you on it, or make
Okay,
sure
thank
that
you.
I
That'd be
have the
great.
information for the public
For the
hearing.
public hearing. Perfect. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-064, adoption of public employer health emergency plan.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-065, adoption of a policy relating to COVID-19 vaccinations for employees of the town of Canandaigua. Can I have a motion?
move.
Second.
Second.
Now, Doug, I think you said, I think we have to change this to 4 hours, up to 4 hours. Is that correct?
That is correct. Late Friday afternoon, Governor Cuomo signed into law a new a new piece of legislation, and it's 4 hours of paid leave. So obviously, when we released the agenda, no such state law existed. I guess at this point, it's really a moot point if you want to pass this resolution or not, because it's now state law. So you can either amend it or just table the resolution indefinitely. It's your choice, really.
I would go for tabling indefinitely, so
Yeah.
we don't have an
Yeah.
additional. thing
Was
to
there
do.
any, Doug, was there anything in that about anything for time after? Because I know in a lot of places that have a lot of employees, the day after the vaccine, for some of them, they have been sick and not been able to work. Is there anything related to that in the state law, or would that be a policy we would have to look at out of equity to them?
I'm just honestly, Jared, I'm just not able to answer that question right at
Okay.
the moment. It's something, it just happened on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm not even 100% sure. I know myself, I actually received the first dose on Saturday and I also had a reaction to it. So I think it's something that we want to evaluate
Yeah.
further, but it's just not something I can do
Okay.
right at the moment. So.
Yeah, I was just, because I know at school, the high school was, all the high school the high school kids went remote, and all the other teachers had to sub in the other buildings because there were so many teachers with reactions because they blocked us all at the same time from the second shot. So just, that's something that we can put in, and if it comes out and if it becomes an issue, we can put it in another resolution after we know more of what's going on.
All right, so we can table this
Mhm.
indefinitely. I did read the law quickly, a summary of it. I didn't see anything on that regard, but it was just a summary of it, so.
And just to confirm, our employees are probably covered with sick time, aren't they? I mean, does everybody have sick time?
Yeah, but this was for, you did not take your sick time for it. It was part of the COVID package, if you will. Like if you come down with COVID, you have those days. And if you had a reaction after getting immunized, after getting the second shot, or even the first shot, then that was part of it. So you didn't cut into your sick days for doing something like getting the vaccine.
Yeah, I think that the governor's law says not to be charged to any other time that you have.
Well, I would think probably one of the things that happened too is a lot of people had to travel quite a ways to get there, so the 2 hours wasn't covering them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving along. Unless anyone else wants to be heard on that. No.
Nope.
Resolution number 2021-066, thanking John Robertella for years of service to the Environmental Conservation Board.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? I would like to personally thank John. I don't know if John's on here, but from the time I started, he was a gentleman and always willing to help with questions, and his minutes were always very well done and very thorough, and I read them all the time. And so I want to thank him personally and on behalf of the board for his service. And I look forward to you continuing in whatever capacity you feel that you can. And so thank you very much.
I would second that. It was always very difficult to find a comma out of place or a typo with John. Very thorough, as you said, very professional, and a great guy too.
Yeah.
Right.
I think personally, in light of resolution 70, which is coming up, I don't know how I feel about this, but I can't, with all his expertise, but we have a very capable replacement coming in. Looking forward to working with her as well.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Kathy, can we go back to resolution 065, please?
Of course. What did I do?
You talked about tabling the resolution indefinitely, but never got a first or second or a vote.
Do we need a vote if we're tabling it indefinitely? All right, well, we might as well. Can I have a motion to table it indefinitely?
So moved.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion on tabling indefinitely, other than what we already had, of course? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to table indefinitely carries.
Thank you.
All right, no, thank you for picking up on that. Resolution number 2021-067, acknowledging the Canandaigua Rotary Sucker Brook cleanup event at Outhouse Park.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-068, acknowledgement of 2020 annual fire department reports.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to point out how good the reports are, and I hope everyone takes the time to read them to see the wonderful work that our fire departments have been doing and continue to do in all of these crazy times and all the things that are going on. So I want to thank them again for, and especially for these reports that were prepared. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-069, appointment of town board member Jared Simpson, as it says facilitator, but I think that's a typo, facilitator of Environmental Conservation Board, directing town manager and town attorney to prepare local law relating to structure of ECB.
Moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If we could just change that to facilitator, I'm sure that doesn't require a motion to amend. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Jared.
Thanks.
Resolution number 2021-070, support and authorize town manager to submit a grant application for phase 2 of a cultural resource survey to the Preserve New York grant program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Doug, did you want to say a little bit about what that is, or?
This is the second phase. We did what's called a phase 1 or a windshield survey. I think it was about 2 years ago now, and it was very successful. Our history team worked great on it. Ended up doing a presentation in Cheshire at the fire department there one night at the results of it, and I think had about 100 people attended. It was phenomenal. And it phase 1, it really went into detail. It was just an overview of some of the most historical properties in the town of Canandaigua, including the most or the oldest known house in the town of Canandaigua off of North Road in the town of Canandaigua. But phase 2 takes a little bit deeper dive into it. And I know the history team's really excited about making this grant application.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-071, appointment of Kimberly Burkhardt, Secretary to the Environmental Conservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Kathy, if I just could, Kimberly is with us. Can we just maybe introduce her?
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being willing to do that. And we really appreciate you coming on board and picking up where John left off, and we look forward to working with you.
I look forward to doing it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? And any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Signify-
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations and welcome, Kimberly. All right, resolution number 2021-072, authorization for town manager to execute agreement with the city of Canandaigua for 1-year joint recreation program.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution number 2021-073, soil road, oops, this is sureties. I know that Linda would like us to block 2021-073 to 2021-075. If there's no opposition, I'd like these to be considered as a block.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I don't think we need to do a separate vote, but I think that's the way we're doing this. As to the resolutions themselves, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, that's it for resolutions. Next, we have approval of the town board meeting minutes from February 8th, 2021, February 15th, 2021, and March 8th, 2021. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, requests to change, delete, or any other corrections? All right, seeing no hands, all those in favor of approving the board minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have payment of the bills. Jean,
Yep. Utility abstract dated February 22nd, 2021, totaling $108,103.05. The general fund of $27,986.87. Highway fund of $68,657.66. Lighting districts of $1,204.75. Water districts is $6,015.44. And custodial, the FKA Trust and Agency of $4,238.33. Abstract dated March 15th, 2021, totaling $1,798,079.58. The general fund of $178,516.28. Highway fund of $174,824.52. Capital projects of $249,006.02. Fire protection of $1,141. Wait a minute.
I like your
Million.
count. I think it's 1 million.
Maybe a
Is
million.
it 1 million? Okay, $1,141,320. Lighting districts of $1,143.15 and water districts of $53,269.61.
All right, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jean. I know how difficult it is to read all those numbers when everybody's watching. Privilege of the floor. We have our next privilege of the floor. If anyone would like to be heard, same rules apply. All right, I don't see any hands. If anyone sees anything else, please let me know. All right, other business.
There is one.
Suzanne. Suzanne, did you have your hand up? Suzanne Spall. Go ahead, you're unmuted.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. It's Ted Spall. I applaud the town board's patience in delaying the permissive referendum to the general election. I think it's the right thing to do. I would ask, though, in order to survey the residents of the town who are prospective users of the parks, the town board to consider the fact that Ononda and Kershaw are there. They're a known commodity. Town is taking over Ononda. Suggestions have been made by many people along the lake that tax dollars be used to make improvements to these facilities, open them up to all the taxpayers, all the town residents as quickly as possible. And I think not doing that would be a shortcoming because you don't know what's going to come up in the future. I think some estimates to make the good improvements, show people, the residents, how they can use the parks more efficiently, perhaps not charge any fees for those parks, but to use what you've got, maximize the assets that are there, they're substantial. And I think failing that would be not a good survey of the town residents. And I also question, I've had a lot of experience with permissive referendums over the years, and usually on general ballots, when you see a permissive referendum, it's for a specific purpose. In other words, purchase of 1,000 acres of parkland in the Adirondacks with a stated purchase price. I don't think you can do a permissive generic referendum. I think that is going to be prohibited by law. And what are people voting on with that? You're much further ahead to take a look at the assets you have, improve them, open them up to the public and see if they want to spend money on those assets, even if it's a substantial amount of money. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Ms. Parkhurst.
I'd like to point out to several of the people that I've seen some of the chat and the Spalls that Kershaw Park belongs to the city of Canandaigua. It is not a possibility for the town of Canandaigua and its residents. I've lived here 48 years. And for many of those 48 years, there has been efforts to try to get access for town residents to Kershaw Park. It hasn't happened yet, and I frankly don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So Kershaw Park is off the board, as is Atwater Park. That's a city park. That's not going to happen. As far as Ononda Park, I partially agree with you that it can be utilized more. It is utilized quite a bit in the summertime, and part of the problem is that there are people who rent the cabins, and you have to be cognizant of their privacy and their ability to do the activities that come along with renting those cabins. However, as being on the Parks and Recreation Committee and being on the Events Committee, we are looking at events to have in Ononda Park, and I personally feel that having events there will promote more usage of that park. I agree with that. One of the things we are looking at doing next year is having a winter festival in the park, because this park is used quite a bit in the wintertime. And I personally have been down there during the weeks when we've had snow, many of them, and have talked with families who are sledding with their kids. And I have talked to them about having a winter festival, and they think it's a great idea, and it would be a wonderful activity to promote the use of the park. So I just wanted to say that I agree that Ononda Park can be used more. But let me tell you that I also feel, like many residents of the town of Canandaigua, that there needs to be more lake access available to the residents of Canandaigua. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Parkhurst. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone else requesting privilege of the floor. I think, Doug, you're requesting executive session. Do you want to lay out what they're for?
Yes, so there's quite a series of executive sessions. The two of them involve litigation, and I would ask that the town attorney and the highway superintendent join us for those. And then there are about 9 of them relating to the employment history of a particular individual associated with that. So in those, I'm actually asking the town highway superintendent to join the town attorney and myself for those. No proposed action after any of those executive sessions.
All right, can I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, and for the members of the public, we don't expect any further action when we return after executive session, but you're free to stay around. We'll probably just be adjourning, but.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Doug, Chris, and Jim are doing the 2 litigation ones, and then is it just Doug and Chris on the rest of them?
I'm anticipating Jim Fletcher on the first 3 relating to employment history of a particular individual.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, so for the rest of you, you will be, while we have an executive session, you will be taken out of the Zoom. So thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Night,
Good night.
Jane.
Good night.
Jane.
So you're back in public session.
Okay, everyone back that was in the waiting room, Doug?
Yes.
So I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Everyone.
Bye.